Players 200 is brought to you by Black & Decker, makers of air impact wrenches with exclusive one-hand automatic shift and tornado torque.
This is Mosport Park in rural Ontario, scene of Canada's most important sports car race, the 200-mile Canadian-American Challenge Cup Series event. I'm Chris Economaki, and today, top drivers from 3 continents and the finest road racing machines in the world are here for this important event. Track records have been broken in practice, and we should see a very fast race.
Fast is the word. The top 5 qualifiers bested Jim Hall's record of a year ago. Dennis Holm and the number 5 McLaren set the pace as was expected. All the big guns of the previous 2 record-breaking Can-Am races are here, except Jim Hall, the wing shot. Mike Spence of England is right alongside. Defending Can-Am champion John Surtees sits 5th. Peter Revson readies himself in 6th. George Fulmer 7th, 10 cars ahead of partner Mark Donohue. And in the remaining field of 26, standouts Motzenbacher, Heimroth, McCluskey, Cannon, Parsons, and Scott. The starter gives the ready signal, and the field is off for one tour around the 2.5-mile course without McLaren. A running start was requested by the drivers, and former racing great Sterling Moss is at the wheel of the pace car. The pace lap will give McLaren some needed time as Moss maintains a slow speed to prevent a repeat of last year's traffic jam mishap in the treacherous downhill first turn. McLaren with 80 laps to play catch-up. He'll have to stand on it for 200 miles. A Canadian-American Challenge Cup race. The Players 200.
These men are dedicated to the proposition that racing cars should hold together tightly and come apart fast during a pit stop. It's no job for ordinary tools. It's a job for Black & Decker air tools like Rockabye Baby, the 5-pound air impact wrench with tornado torque, and exclusive rocking trigger action. Squeeze the top, Baby tightens. Squeeze the bottom, Baby takes it off. One hand. No other air wrench in the world can do it. Black & Decker air impact wrenches. A good friend of high-performance cars. It does them one good turn after another.
The events preceding the pace lap of the Players 200 support the theory that preparedness is the key to victory. To play catch-up is a tough way to go racing. Practice and qualifying sessions are always an exciting prelude to any race, and this was especially so at Mosport. It was clear by their domination at Elkhart and Bridgehampton that Team McLaren was the one to beat. Dennis Holm, victor in these earlier Can-Am affairs, is atop the point standings and looked very fast in early practice tries. The newest McLarens, meticulously prepared, sport a lower front end, a monocoque chassis, and a fuel injection system which designer-driver Bruce McLaren worked 2 years to perfect. The work on Mark IIs and 3s, their major competition.
Bruce, it's only been a year since the Group 7 cars raced in the Can-Am, but this year they're several seconds faster. Here at Mosport, where are you finding that extra speed?
I would say largely with our car on acceleration coming out of the corners. In fact, you can pick it, I think, as the car comes out of the corner, you can see the necessary quick little corrections on the steering wheel to cope with the wheel spinning power as we come out.
It's been said by many that tires are a contributing factor, but here you're pointing to the engine, right?
Well, I'm pointing really to power to weight, lots of power and very light weight, which gives wheel spinning power. Well, at that stage, then, the tire does become very important. But you've got to get the weight of the car down and the power up before you start to use the tire.
What kind of a circuit is Mosport, Bruce, compared to the others you've raced on around the world?
There's more uphill and down dale. For instance, you dive down into this hairpin at the far end of the track. and then climbed pretty steeply uphill all the way up the straight, and pretty nearly come off the ground at the brow of the hill.
Is it harder, Bruce, to go as fast today as it was a year ago to qualify?
No, we're having an easier time this year with the new cars. The cars are quite a little bit quicker or more competitive than we were last year. Last year it was quite a struggle to get the cars up to where we got them, about sort of usually second or third fastest. But this year it's a lot easier.
The twin McLarens have dominated Group 7 racing thus far, and everyone else is playing catch-up. Dan Gurney and John Surtees are given the best chance. Gurney, driving one of three brand-new lightweight Lola T70s, looked very quick in practice. His Gurney Westlake engine delivers about 510 horses and is the only competitive Ford in a fleet of Chevys. Surtees, not able to show the same form of a year ago, is still sorting out. What with a new Lola and not enough time to properly prepare for his total series effort, he nonetheless clocked a 1:22.4 for a fifth-place start at Mosport. Mario Andretti again tried the Hunker 2, Ford's maiden effort in Group 7 racing. As was the case in earlier races, the car was just not competitive. The Hunker didn't hunk. Its best time was 1:40, slowest of all the cars. Ford decided not to run. In the race to catch the Kiwis, 5 cars met with disastrous results during practice and qualifying. Mark Donohue, driving a spanking new Lola T70, lost a wheel and visited the sandbanks at Moss Corner. A drive shaft had sheared, and the resulting spin also bent some of the bodywork. Further trouble beset the Penske racing team when George Fulmer got airborne off the long straight, spun uncontrollably for a quarter of a mile, and demolished the second Sunoco Special. Donohue's car could be repaired, but Fulmer's was a scratch, or so everyone thought. After 18 hours and a lot of hard work, with parts flown in from Indianapolis and trucked up from Philadelphia, Penske's crew overnight reassembled number 16 in time for some shakedown laps. Donohue's Lola was rolling too, and the Sunoco Specials were ready to run. But there were some who would not run. Charlie Hayes qualified the number 25 McKee's old 7th before he wrapped it up. Sam Posey and the airfoiled Caldwell did make it, with repairs to a damaged front suspension.
A lot of these mishaps, in fact, in practice, were due to some kind of mechanical problem, which, of course, should never happen.
What about the surface itself here at Mosport? Is it easy on a car or hard for a car to take?
It's not bad at all. I think what's causing these problems is the advance in tyre design, which is loading the suspension and the whole chassis of the cars much more than it has done before now.
It's been said that the wide tires are a blessing, but McLaren's cars are the only ones that were developed and tested using the wide tires, where everyone else just put them on. Has this posed problems?
Well, it's posed problems for me. My chassis has really had the Lola chassis has been very reliable, but since I've had these tires on it, I've broken wishbones and I've torn a radius rod off, and I've had to just beef up the whole back end of the car so that these tires just won't rip it apart, because they're providing such traction that it's putting a strain on the chassis members. I think Bruce McLaren's team has sort of surprised everybody with their speed, and as of the first race, everyone has been making frantic development changes, trying to, be competitive, and in doing this, I think maybe they've lost a little something in reliability.
The 2.45-mile circuit at Mosport Park, Ontario, served as round 3 for the Can-Am Challenge Cup Series, only Canadian race in the 6-race series. The first 2 events were dominated by these 2 cars, the bright orange McLaren Mark 6B, and the driver of number 5, New Zealander Denny Holm, is the point leader and the man that everyone is trying to catch. Denny, a year ago, you came within 10 feet of winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And today, you're not only leading in the Can-Am Challenge Cup Series, but for the World's Driving Championship as well. Has it been a long road to this position in your career?
It's been a very long road. I've just been talking about it a little while ago. It's taken me 7 years to get this far, but I've really done well, and only in the last 3. So for a long time, I was about, but struggling as a private entrant, and it wasn't until I got some work strides that I started to make good out of it.
Where do you think you got your most valuable experience?
obviously being with a big works team like Brabham's, and now with Bruce, McLaren's team, feel well organised and well up to date with everything.
But as a driver, you must deliver. Where do you learn the little tricks that keep you out front?
Following some of the older drivers, I think I've learned a lot from Jack Brabham, some from Jimmy Clark and all these. Being a relatively newcomer, you can always learn something.
The driver, the car, and the crew are the component parts that must mesh smoothly together to win at motor racing. Before the race, Dennis Holm, two-time Can-Am winner, commented on his race plan.
In the early stages, I try and go as fast as I can, and once I've established some sort of a lead, 5 seconds or so, then I try and ease back and just hold that. Both races, I've tried to make the break early in the race, so the and discipline the opposition. Unless Dan manages to stay close with me today, I'm going to try and do the same thing again.
Bruce McLaren has made time, car lengths behind now. Holm has set a new lap record, 1:22 flat, stretching his lead on Dan Gurney. Mike Spence third. And rounding the turn is number 52, Peter Revson. John Surtees, who was running fourth, is in the pits with some sort of trouble, which he obligingly does. Holm is off the course at Moss Corner. Dennis spun in some gravel coming out of the turn, but appears to be okay. Gurney, down by 20 seconds, picks up a few. McLaren, with his Chevy engine full bore, overtakes Ron Courtney. He's moved up 5 places in just 5 laps. In jig time, he's up to Courts, Posey, and Bill Eve, pushing the trio around Moss Corner. Meantime, Roger McCluskey and Lothar Motzenbacher are having a go for 6th place. Cannon leads Scott and Donahue down the pit straight. McLaren's by Posey and takes Bill Eve at turn 1. John Surtees is running again, but well down in the field. McLaren is after 13th place and gets it going inside Skip Barber through the hairpin. Canadian John Cannon is doing his best to hold down 10th ahead of Scott and Donahue, with McLaren applying the pressure. His leaders are lapping the slower cars. Gurney showing good speed on the straights. Mike Spence and Peter Revson still running 3rd and 4th. And is out of the race. The pit crews see some action as McLaren breezes past Parsons into 8th place. McCluskey, drafting NASCAR style, slingshots past Motzenbacher to nail down 6th. And tails Fulmer in the number 16 Lola through Moss Corner. McLaren's not far behind, getting past Motzenbacher and some tail-end traffic. A new lap record has been set by Dennis Holm. 1:20.7, better than 109 miles per hour. He's well up on Gurney now. But Gurney's still in it, lapping Scarpiotti in the V12 Ferrari. McCluskey's by Fulmer. McLaren takes him too on the high-speed back straight, where speeds approach 180 miles an hour. The number 8 Lola and former Can-Am champion are out of it. Surtees pitted twice earlier with engine trouble, and this time it's permanent. Let's get the word with reporter Chris Economaki.
Mechanical problems, John?
Yes, either a valve guide seal or else a piston ring went and kept on filling the cylinder with oil.
Tough break.
McLaren squeezes past Roger McCluskey at turn 2. The new Mark 6 and its driver are showing superiority in all departments over a talented field of drivers. Holm, number 5, laps Donahue, putting traffic between him and 2nd place Dan Gurney. But Gurney doggedly hangs on, lapping Fred Pippin's McKee Mark 6. course, but well back in third. Mike Spence leads Revson, still running fourth, but losing ground to McLaren. Ron Courtney runs dead on the track with a smoking engine. Revson gives up fourth place on the pit straight. McLaren means business, burning up the track with a one-handed driving technique that puts John Courts further down with the other back markers. Holm continues smoothly in first. Dan Gurney over half a minute down in second. Mike Spence has held third since the outset, with little chance of gaining on Gurney and less chance of holding off McLaren. Brett Lunger is into the guardrail. Debris all over the track. McCluskey and Scarfiotti are by. McLaren has taken third from Spence as yellow flags caution the drivers. Lunger is out of the car and is okay.
Good to see you looking so good, Brett. What happened on the track?
Well, I'm afraid I just started pushing a little bit too much. I think we had trouble. We had a little bit of trouble partway out. I think it was a head gasket, and I wasn't getting the revs at all. In order to make up for that, I was trying to slide it a little bit too much.
It was quite a solid hit to the fence. Are you all right?
I'm very disgusted. A driver doesn't do that sort of thing. I should be sent to bed without any supper. It makes me angry.
Donahue has moved to seventh behind McCluskey. Holm leads by 60 seconds, well out in front. Gurney's advantage dwindles. McLaren gaining better than 1 second a lap. Speed traps have caught Gurney and McLaren at 170 miles an hour, bettered only by Revson's top race speed of 181. Spence is dropping further back behind the race for second. A setback for the Penske Racing team. Donahue is in the pits and out of the race with a blown head gasket on his mended Lola. He had passed teammate Fulmer and was running 7th before his retirement. Line in a daring drive rarely seen in motor racing. The McLaren cars are 1 and 2. Holm backing off a bit with a 1-minute cushion and teammate McLaren behind him. McLaren crew chief Tyler Alexander looks happy, wouldn't you say? McLaren buries Skip Scott trying to lose Gurney in traffic. Bruce can't shake the Lola Ford as Gurney shows some of his driving style and some metal dragging from the rear of his car. McLaren remains in the same lap as the leader. Gurney has not passed the pits. It looks like the end of a courageous drive for Dan Gurney, who was losing ground steadily to McLaren before a broken clutch and an overworked engine finished the Lola 3B. Number 22, Mike Spence, inherits third. His tire is smoking badly, the crumpled fender burning away at the rubber. Can Holm make one more lap, which is all he needs to complete the race? McLaren, the only driver in the same lap, has slackened his pace, unaware of Holm's trouble. McCluskey, 2 laps down, easily passes the crippled Holm McLaren to better his position. The gap. He too on the last lap, but over 30 seconds behind. Chris Economaki in a jubilant victory lane.
Hello again. But this time it was a storybook finish, Denny. What happened on the last lap?
I think I probably miscalculated somewhere. The tail hung out. I corrected it, and it shot straight up the bank. It was something that happened in such a flash, I didn't quite know what had gone wrong. Obviously, I damaged the frame quite a bit. And, all I thought was, I hope there's no oil and no water leaking out, and maybe I'll be able to finish, but the tire had gone flat as well.
Well, it was a great drive all the way. How much further could you have gone, had you to?
I think that was it. The end of the pit row after the checkered flag was as far as it could ever go. It couldn't have done another lap, not possible.
Well, congratulations on your 3rd straight Can-Am victory, Denny Holm.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Bruce, this is the kind of a drive you turned in today, was the kind of a drive that motor racing writers will be writing about for years to come. What motivated it?
Well, basically just being so far behind. Yeah, it's a nice way to race that. I think every along with the car and just stand on it. And I must say I enjoyed it for a long time.
And the car held up magnificently, didn't it?
It held up beautifully. I think I used up most of the oil in the crankcase, so that when Dan dropped out with about 10 laps to go, I really backed off and took it quite easy because oil pressure was starting to get down quite low.
A great year for Team McLaren. Proof that teamwork brings victories, such as the Players 200 at Canada's Mosport Park. Players 200 has been brought to you by Black & Decker, makers of air impact wrenches, with exclusive one-hand automatic shift and tornado torque.